I got my homeboy Pete with me, and we letting everybody know we got a dream. Yo, stay focused, keep moving forward. It's on the way. Keep that dream alive. If you got a dream, don't look to the left, nor the right, look to the right.
Your faith is in Jesus. Completion is here before you even begin. Dreaming big of my life in the future. Already knowing that it's not far. Having the passion to work towards Jesus. I'm gonna keep my faith and swagger going hard. Don't turn right. Just push straight. You don't have to fear more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show. I am your host, Yolanda, and I am truly excited about our guest tonight. We don't have just one guest, but we have several guests who are a part of an amazing anthology titled Her War II. So if you're just tuning in with us, please make sure that you share this broadcast, tag some people in, because we have some military veterans, we have some people who were connected to the military in some form or fashion, and they are here to share their hearts, talk about something that's on their mind that they want you to know. And we're just going to have a joyous time tonight, and just make sure that people know this book is getting ready to drop in January of 2022. So be on the lookout, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show, where you will hear stories from people who have experienced hell on earth and have walked past hell to share their stories. You will also hear what they are doing now and how their businesses, nonprofits, and ministries were birthed from their past trauma. So let's empower the world, one story at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Yolanda Jerry.
Hello, everyone, and we are back. We are here. Look at it. You see all of these beautiful women on your screen. All these ladies are amazing. I just want to say thank you, ladies, so much for coming on to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show to talk about your upcoming anthology and your part in this amazing anthology by Visionary Von Griggs. So I want to start with the visionary. So let's start with the visionary, Miss Griggs. How you doing, Miss Griggs?
I am doing quite well, Dr. Jerry, better than I deserve. Thank you. Doing well.
Awesome. So look, I want to know, I know this is your baby. This is something that you have been thinking about and praying about for a very long time when it comes to bringing people together, or more specifically these women together, when it comes to the things that we, because I'm a veteran too, right, have gone through when it comes to being connected to the military. So can you share with us and the audience what inspired you to actually come up with this book project?
Absolutely. So just shortly after my military retirement there in Biloxi, Mississippi, and as I was onboarding for the VA medical care at the Biloxi VA, it was when I realized that my terminology of how I would be addressed was be veteran. I'd never heard that before. To me, the veterans were a different generation and definitely a different gender, right? So even sitting in that waiting room, those veterans didn't look like I looked. And I thought, oh my goodness. So that was an epiphany for me that I will no longer be called airman. I will no longer be called sergeant, NCO. I was going to be in that classification, titled as a veteran, but we look different. And as I transitioned out, even years later, even to this day, we don't blow our horns. We don't toot our horns as women veterans as our male counterparts. They have no problem saying, oh yeah, I served 82nd Airborne, or I was in this regiment. We don't do that. We do it when we're asked. Because what do I mean by that? Until I ask, oh, female, did you serve in any branches of the armed forces? Oh yeah, I was in the Navy 6 years. But we don't introduce ourselves like that. So I'm wanting to know why it is that we don't say what we've done, how we've served this country equally so. And that's the title. It's our war too. We've served every campaign from the Civil War to the Revolutionary War. We've been present, but we don't speak about it enough. And I want to bring more awareness. And I want to say thank you, Shiro, for your service, equally so.
You're welcome, Ms. Griggs. Wow. I mean, what a great way to bring about some women who want to connect and collaborate on such a great project with your vision, the vision that God has given you, so that these women can share their voice. And just to kind of get to know a little bit more about you, can you tell us a little bit more about, your experience? I know we're not going to talk about your actual part in the book unless you want to just give us a little teeny bit about what you share. But just tell us a little bit about, the things that you have come in contact with, that you saw, during your time being connected to women and veterans and those people who have served, or share something that's on your heart with us.
Wow, well, that list is long. I've gotten an opportunity to connect with not only in my time of service, but I am honored for the co-authors on this project, even our service organization that is supporting this project. Because we don't talk about those experiences enough. We suffer PTSD, military sexual trauma. The list is long. Our health issues, education benefits, lack of promotion, discrimination, domestic violence. I've experienced them all. And we don't talk about those things. We have learned and been trained to suppress that. And I think some of my co-authors may agree. If I ask them about themselves, they would tell me, I'm a mom, I'm a grandmom, I work here, I work there. But unless I pull it out of them that they served 20 years in some form, one of our co-authors here, I had to read that she was a warrant officer. I'm saying, do you know how pristine that position is? And you're not saying it, right? Why aren't you saying it? And so, again, bringing the revelation to our listening audience, but not only for them, but for us, because we'll hide behind being mom, being grandma, being sister. We'll do all of that, but we don't talk about those achievements. And those achievements formed a great part of our lives. Let me say this, Dr. Jerry, it's always fascinating to me that women will wear their sorority shirts or their jackets, right? But they don't wear their military logo. I still want to know why. So the question is out for me. Why is that?
You know what, Ms. Griggs, I have to agree with you, because let me tell you, I see the men wearing their hats proudly. Every time I turn around, you see the men wearing their hats and, talking about the services that they've served, or the branch of service they had been in. So you're definitely right. We need more women to sit there and show that too as well, outside of all the other organizations that we're connected to. So thank you for bringing that question about. So I want to move on over to Ms. Big Man. How you doing, Ms. Big Man?
I'm doing fine.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad to have you on the show. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
My name is Micheline Big Man. I am a proud Indigenous Native American woman, a veteran as well, Army. Served about 22 years, combat veteran. I'm also the president and founder of Native American Women Warriors, which is a two-part. We're the first all-female. We're recognized as the first all-female Native American color guard because we're actually in our regalia, and also a nonprofit as well. So,
Wow,
very, very proud.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Now I see I'm watching and I'm looking, your virtual background. That says Navy veteran, correct?
On mine?
Yes, on your
No,
virtual background.
it's our logo, Native American
Native,
Women
okay, I
Warriors.
can't see it. Okay, so Native American. So tell me a little bit about that for a second, or let us know a little bit about that, if you will.
Well, the logo actually it's a combination of the medicine wheel, where it's got the colors of the red, the black, the yellow, and the white, and also the four directions. But also we have like, if I can move out of the way, a teepee, like a teepee with the M16s. And what it is women are known for being the mothers of, they take care of the family. So the M16s represented the fact that, we left for war, but we came back and we're back to take care of family again, our children, and nurturing, and then growth from there. And then on the top of the teepee, it has an eagle feather with like the American flag on it. So it just represents a veteran, and then it also has the eagle because we fly high. We're eagle is one of our biggest, I guess you could say, icons, because you have different ones, but that's what we're known for is the eagle, because we're known for overcoming. Sometimes you have to go a little bit higher to overcome what's below you, the turmoil that's below you.
Absolutely. When they say you fly like an eagle, you soar high. So thank you so much for sharing that. I just learned some history. And though I don't know if you all knew what that was about, but thank you for sharing, because I just learned something new tonight. So thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Now I want to ask you, how do you know Ms. Griggs, and what inspired you to be a part of this particular anthology?
Um, we met, actually, it was June of last year. Actually, I was asked to be like a guest speaker. We worked together for the women. I think it was a Women Veterans Day. I think we finally got a day. And I did a guest speaking in regards to my portion of the military, what I did, and how I came about with Native American Women Warriors, and some of the things that I was very passionate about. I'm very passionate about our veterans. I'm very passionate about the women veterans, because I've voiced that a lot of times we're overlooked, not only as while we're serving, but after the fact. And like I say, we need to come forth with that. But no, we worked on an event together, and then we just kind of we've been close ever since. She keeps an eye on me, and she's like she invited me to pursue this. I was very nervous. I'm like, when she wanted me to be part of a co-author of a book, and write something, I'm like, I don't even write a letter. But she was very persistent, and she was guiding me through, and it's like, come on, we can do this. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So yes, yeah, I'm blessed to have her and all the other ladies and all the co-authors be part of this great venture.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So if you don't mind telling us, just give us a little eensy beensy piece of what you're going to be talking about in your story.
Well, being Native American, mine was called Torn Moccasins, and I'm a jingle dress dancer. And jingle dress is actually Ojibwe, and the Ojibwe, the dance is actually a prayer dress and a dance of healing. But as time goes on, dancers, we're always, when we do a lot of dancing, we're always preparing our moccasins to perform for the next healing dance. And that's why I kind of like use that torn moccasins as not only as dancers, but mothers and veterans. We're constantly, we're not stopping. We're taking that that extra mile, and taking the time to not only repair ourselves and fix ourselves, but take the time for that healing within us and with our other veterans. So that's just what mine was about, Torn Moccasins, because I intertwined it as a Native American and a soldier.
Wow, a lot of history. And even that title, Torn Moccasin, I can't wait. That's powerful right there. Because when I think about that, I'm like, uh-oh. So thank you so much for sharing who you are and a little bit about your history with Native American, and also just sharing what you're going to be talking about in this particular anthology. And we'll come back to you towards the end to get you to share some encouraging words and also drop what you have coming up next and anything else you want us to know before we close out. So thank you so much, Miss Big Man.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Miss Kathy Mackey, can you hear me? Nope. She can't hear me. Can you hear me, Miss Kathy? Nope. Okay. You can hear me though, but we can't hear her. Uh-oh. All right. Well, we'll try to come back to you, Miss Kathy, because I can't hear you. And we'll try to come back to you a little bit towards the end. Okay. So next, I'm going to move over to Miss Van, Miss Angela Van. How are you doing, Miss Angela?
I am well. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jerry. Thank you for having us this evening. I'm doing good. Thank you.
Good. Welcome and thank you for being here with the rest of your fellow co-authors
Yes.
tonight. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I am a veteran of 20 years serving in the United States Army. And and Miss Vaughn, she was speaking of me when she was saying, when after we retire or, we do our little stint in the military, the services, and as females, we get out and it's like, we don't just put it out there. And I'll just say, yeah, I did 20 years, retired and just keep it moving. And she read one of the bios and it's like, oh, I'm a retired warrant officer. And she said, girl, you better shout that to the rooftop and, let people know. In which she's absolutely correct. Because, being in the military, it's a predominantly male services in across the board, any of the services. And we worked hard and had to go through to get that, to earn that rank. It's not like it was anything that was given to us, So I started saying it proudly, and going into how I got there, what made me do that, and to be a part of that and to keep on moving throughout my military career. But right now I'm living in Dallas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I work with our young kiddos as from my retirement. I work with the early childhood field where I run a family child care home for infants and children's ages infant to 5 years of age. And I also, do collaboration partnerships with a lot of the women veterans organization as far as, being a part, being able to help with any what mission or whatever they have going on, just to stay a part of it and to be relevant, and so that our stories can still be heard, so that we can still be seen as the female veterans. We don't want to die out, be that breed to, be forgotten about.
Amen. Well, look, I just want to go and high five Miss Griggs, for pushing you out and saying, look, you need to own this, girl. You served 20 years. Like,
Absolutely.
20 years is a long time. I know, because I did 20 years in the Air Force. You need to talk about that thing. And you proudly served, no matter what you went through, you wore that.
Yes.
Look, you wore that contract for 20 years. You hear me?
Absolutely. And I have no issues doing that now. So yes, I'm shouting it from the rooftop, and hopefully it encourages, other females that are serving now, other females are serving or thinking about going in. You know, I'm a part of the Big Brother Big Sister mentoring program, and they actually paired me with a young lady that was interested in going into the military. So you know, and I was able to share that with her. You know, me coming through the military, starting off as enlisted, but as I kept going, and if I said I'm going to do this for long term, something gotta happen. Something gotta happen. I gotta do something. And so, you know, I did that. So absolutely. I really appreciate Von. You know, I'm honored to be a part of this anthology, to get you know, our stories out, and not only for us, it helping us, but is definitely, it's going to help so many more individuals out there, you know, that we can't see right now, and that's what it's all about. So helping others.
Absolutely. And look, I always say our story isn't for us to keep, it's for somebody else. You know, it's
Right.
our story. God took us through that, but at the same time,
Yes.
he took you through it so somebody else can benefit from it.
Right.
So, Ms. Van, give us a little bit about, you know, your story or your particular chapter in this book. I don't want the whole thing because we want people to go and purchase the book. Okay.
Absolutely.
Just tell us a little bit about what you shared, or what your, you know, the topic around what you're going to be talking about, or you can just share your title.
Yeah, well, my title is Courage, Making Your Seat at the Table. And, you know, it's just, you know, sometimes you just get to a point where you just have to, you need to be a part of what happens to you. You need to be a part of that decision, all these decisions being made for you and about you. So it talks around about that, and how I got here. So very interested. Just making your seat at the table. Don't, you know, that old saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And and we don't want that. So at least I don't want that for anybody. Everybody should have to have some type of say, or in what's happening in their lives, especially if it's gonna it involves your life, your family, everybody around you. So one or two people shouldn't just be have that authority over you. So
Absolutely. And I agree. You know, hey, I'm all about, you know, making your seat at the table. Look, we need more. Look, the women already taking over. Y'all men, y'all better catch up. Y'all better
yes,
catch up. Because now these little women coming out here being bold about their
yes,
stories. Continue to
yes.
open their mouth, and they're going to continue to share their truth with the world. So come on, men. These women waiting on y'all. Otherwise, they're just going to take over everything. Well, thank you so much, Miss Angela Van, for being here on the show with your fellow co-authors, and we'll come back around and circle back around to you as well. So before we go and speak to our next fellow co-author for her War II, we're going to go to a commercial break, and then we'll be right back.
Welcome.
And tonight's show is sponsored by GoFig Company. If you're looking for someone to help you automate your services, someone to help you design your website, someone to produce your own conference, GoFig Company is the way to go. And you can reach out to them at www.gofig, which is GEAUXFIG.com. Again, GoFig Company, www.gofig.com. All right. So if you're just tuning in with us, welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show. Please share this broadcast, because tonight we're having a conversation with the co-authors and the visionary of Her War II anthology that will be dropping in January of 2022. So let's talk to Miss Felice Gillum. How you doing, Miss Felice?
Hello, Dr. Yolanda. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for asking. So look, I know you've been part of a couple of projects in the
Yes.
past, so this is not my first time being able to meet you and see you. But this particular project, how did you connect with Miss Griggs, and also what inspired you to be a part of this? Because you could be a part of all kinds of projects, but why this one?
That's a great question. First, let me say thank you so much for allowing us to be on your platform. It's always a pleasure to be with you. But I became affiliated with Vaughn through another project that we were both mutually working on. And I immediately connected with her spirit. Just something about her and her resilience and her positive attitude just resonated with me. And so I connected with her offline and told her that I actually worked for the USO, the United Service Organizations, and we provide services to our nation's military. We do programs, events, and just so many wonderful morale boosting things to support our nation's military. And with her working so aggressively with her War II project, I felt like there was something that we would be able to bring to the table. So I had a conversation with her about what I do and how the USO could possibly bring some resources to the event that she was holding last year in honor of Women's Veterans Day, which is such a noble cause that she was really rallying behind because there are so few states that actually recognize Women's Veterans Day. And as we all know, women have fought so long and so hard for this country. And so it is definitely time, and it's definitely the season for them to be able to receive their accolades for that. So when she asked me to be a part of this project, it was just such an honor for me, because I've had the experience to work with so many amazing women in my almost 15 years of working for the USO. And it was just an honor for me to be able to come to the table and talk a little bit about my experiences with working with the military and how some of those powerful women have had the opportunity to ultimately change my life.
Wow, amazing. Now, look, you get to see it from a different aspect, not necessarily have done what these ladies have done, but connected with all branches of service and serving with the USO. I know I definitely benefit from just going to USO and getting me some snacks and meeting new people and all those things, traveling through airports and being able to have a place to go. So thank you so much just for even serving, the military at all, because I know some people, when they look at the USO, they just look at it as a place to just sit. But truth be told, there's a lot of conversations that happen in the USO while you're waiting for your next flight. So, and people that you will encounter and meet that, that you can connect with and be able to have a conversation with, and not feel like you're not understanding where they're coming from.
Absolutely. And that is one of the major reasons why we put USOs in our airports, on our Navy bases and all military installations throughout the country. It particularly in the airport setting, the needs of the military are so exclusive in regards to the other general traveling public. You are seeing individuals that might be saying goodbye to their husband or to their father for 18 months. And most people are just there to say goodbye to their spouse for the weekend, so their needs are so unique. And so we want to allow them the opportunity to be able to have a confined environment with people that know and love and understand the journey that they're taking, and that can appreciate the work that they do and be sensitive to the needs that they may have in that very moment. Again, I see, all the time, mothers that are 7, 8, 9 months pregnant that are saying goodbye to their spouses, knowing that they will deliver their babies and their spouse won't be there unless the USO has already prearranged, which we have done before, for them to be a part of the burden of their child, even while serving in a different country. But, that's not something that most people get the opportunity to take advantage of. So we want for them to be able to have a safe place and a safe environment to be able to have those experiences. But certainly for us, it's not just centers on military installations or centers in our airports. There are so many other things that the USO does. Just now, this holiday season, we are during the month of December, USO Gulf Coast, which is the USO that I'm the executive director of, is sponsoring and supporting 18 now holiday events through the course of just the month of December. So, myself and my staff are aggressively working to make sure that our nation's military are supported, whether they're here stateside or whether they're serving abroad, whether they are geographically separated from their families. We want to make sure that they have the absolute best holiday experience that we can. And as the USO, that is just what we're here to do.
Wow, you all just heard it. She just dropped it for us about everything that the USO does. And I just want to say thank you, Ms. Gillum, for even your service. Because believe me, again, a lot of us utilize or have utilized the USO, and you all have a plethora of services that you have just right there when you walk in. I mean, so many things can go on in a matter of an hour right there just by being surrounded by other individuals in the USO. And thank you for all the things that you are doing for the holiday time. People are not forgotten about. People are still being served, and you're providing a service even during the holiday time. So thank you so much. So now I want to know about your story or your title. When it comes to this anthology, what is it that you're sharing, or give us your title that'll say, hey, y'all need to go get this. I'm gonna give you a little bit, but I ain't gonna give you everything.
So the USO is absolutely the force behind the forces. That's what we've done since 1941 when we came into existence. And so the title of my chapter is She is a Force Behind the Forces. And it just talks about some of the experiences that I've had while working with the USO and some of the powerful women that I've come in contact with that have literally changed my life. Through just working with them and being able to be a vessel to a better part of their service while they were serving our country. So I just talk a little bit about those personal stories that touched my heart the most while I've been working for the USO.
Good stuff, y'all. But you see, look, these women, they all got a different piece of them when it comes to their involvement with the military or how they have served, and everybody has their own story. So thank you so much, Ms. Gillum. I look forward to reading your chapter in Her War too as well. All right, so let's move on to Miss Bridget. Hello, Miss Bridget. How are you? You're on mute. There you go.
Good afternoon. I'm doing great. Can you hear me now? I was on mute. I am a 20-year Air Force retiree from Keesler Air Force Base. I think we served together at the time. We did a little blue rope at that time, and I have been out of the service quite a few years now. I met Miss Griggs back during the summer of this year, and it was on a spiritual relationship that we came together. And we had some likeness going on in relationships, and we were able to share and help each other and pull each other through. And it was just knowing someone that was going through the same thing helped me so much at that time, and I believe I helped her at the same time. So we met through a mutual friend, and actually 20 years ago we were supposed to come together in another setting, and I could not find her. So I would have met her 20 years ago when she was stationed at Keesler also. But it's just been such a joy to know her and to spend time talking to her. And she's just been instrumental in my life because when I retired, the mindset was just you retire. I'm retired. I'm happily retired, and you go home, and that was the end of the military until I met Miss Griggs. So when I met her, and she began to talk about her war too, and asked me to be a part of this anthology, it woke something up in me. I'm like, well, I thought service was over, and I never really looked back and thought about those that's coming up behind us. So that's what this has done for me, to go back, look at them. I always, I have this painting on my wall that says, she's not heavy, she's my sister. So go back and pull my sister up now also, because of the things that I went through. And that's what I addressed in my chapter of the book.
Wow. And I would
So
say that,
it's, it,
just by what you said about the painting on your wall, a lot of times you'll find that some people, that have served in the military, they're just glad to be done with the military after they have served. But what we don't realize is that there's so many other people in this world who have been mute about their experiences in the military, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And we should share those stories, because I remember, as a young child, my grandfather always talked about, his stories in the war. He always talked about those things. And I was very intrigued and I wanted to know more. I wanted to, like, is this it? And he's like, no, I have some more. It's like every time I got the opportunity to visit and talk with him, he has just poured in more and more information and knowledge and wisdom that he's learned from the military into me, which I'm sure that, and besides my dad, that's what prompted me to go into the military, being a military brat as well. So I think that we as women need to start owning that as well, because men, they have no problem with talking about their military experience. They do it all the time, but we as women, we don't. It's like, once we're done with the military, we're done. We done taken it, threw it in the trash, and we done started a whole new career. And when you read bios and everything, they leave that part out. Like, why you leave that part out when you served 20 years? And truth be told, people want to know more about your military career versus what you're doing right now. They want to know, why? Because everybody has not served in the military. It's not that many of us. It's only so many people that can raise their right hand and say, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm giving my life. I always tell people it's only two people that will die for you. That's Jesus and the people in the military, and so for me, it's like, you know what? I want to know who these people are who have put service before self, and committed to say, you know what? I would take a bullet or I would die for my fellow American. Not many people will do that. So why not share our story? People want to know these things. And this is stuff that we should be telling to our children, to the rest of our family members. And yes, it ain't always been pretty. I know it ain't always been pretty, serving in the military, but there's a lot of lessons to be learned that we can share to people around the globe. So I'm just thankful that you ladies have decided to come and do this, because I have not seen, I'll be honest, I have not seen a book where women have from the military or who have been connected to the military have shared their story together. You'll have some women who have done that individually, but from my understanding, from what I've seen, this is the first one of its kind. So for me, this is groundbreaking, so you all definitely have my support when it comes to this book, not only as a fellow veteran, but also just knowing that we have women who have shared their stories, and people just need to see that. We need to support one another. So thank you so much, Miss Bridget, for sharing that and telling us about that. And look, we need to connect some more. You say you was at Keesler, so we need to talk, girl. We need to talk.
Yes, indeed. Yes, and you're so right.
Serving in the military training environment, that's a whole book in itself.
Yeah, a whole nother lifestyle. Absolutely.
That's right.
Yes.
All right, so I want to move over to Miss Kathy. Let's see if we can get Miss Kathy Mackey on. Can we hear you speak? Are you there?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? If not,
yes.
Vaughn.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that was right on time.
Y'all understand, we've been trying to check this before the show started and everything. I said, we're going to figure this thing out. So finally, Miss Kathy Mackey is here. So come on, Miss Kathy. How you doing? Now we got this tech check under control. Uh-oh. You there?
I'm having, can you hear me?
I can.
You hear me?
Yep.
Uh-oh. You can. Okay. All right. So I am Kathy Mackey. I am a United States Army veteran of 22 and a half years. My background and HR recruiting. I had a very good career, but there were things that was not diagnosed when I first got out that spirited his head up after Hurricane Katrina. And so a lot of those diagnoses that we have challenges with wasn't done until after I got out. And then I was like, what's going on? What's happening? And also the military, you get separated. I was in Germany. He was only a month old and we left. Those are hidden traumas, hidden things that we don't talk about. So we don't talk about things that have happened to us as women because they're very traumatic. But what will happen is something else will happen in your life and it will all come to blow at the same time. And so my chapter is about 9 years of metamorphosis.
Wow.
First of all, that there was some undiagnosed issues. I had the very first thing that happened was I had a panic attack right after being here in Houston, Texas, after evacuating from New Orleans. And then after that, things just started rolling. Panic attacks, depression, anxiety. My son was telling me about his, him having that middle child syndrome, but that all came about because of that separation at an early age. When you have to deal with that, it all started in the military. So I had to pause a minute and say, it's time to regroup. It's time to go in and take care of myself because I've taken care of so many other people. Now it's time to take care of me. So my chapter is about 9 years of transformation, regaining my voice and being able to live again, and not only live, but live fully alive.
Wow, powerful. Isn't it amazing how we can just lose ourselves by serving everybody else? Like we just big old, they got this strong woman syndrome, but people don't really realize the stuff that we deal with outside of that strong woman syndrome. We deal with a lot. We got to deal with family, taking care of family. We got to deal with being separated from our family. If we have to go be sent on a deployment, we got to deal with these commanders and supervisors that done got on our nerves. Then we got to go home and deal with the issues at home if we have issues at home, and then other things. And like you said, all this stuff we are bottled up inside, and we don't do something about it to try to keep it in check, and this is what I tell people all the time. Let me tell you something. My therapist is one of my best friends, and I think that we need to make sure that people understand it's okay to take care of ourselves. Having a therapist is a form of self-care, and it stops us from going out of control. It's not to say that we're crazy. It's to say we don't want to go crazy. You know what I mean? So for you to share, even just telling that, people, if you are watching the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show, this Her Ward 2 anthology is going to be part of your therapy. And I tell people, I say, if people are sharing their stories, that is also a part of a piece of therapy for somebody else. You know what I mean? Because I know I've read books, I've read anthologies, and I promise you, there's some stories that I have read, and literally I was like with tissue, snot coming out my nose, but that was therapeutic for me because something inside of me was able to connect with that and say, you know what? I'm not the only one that has gone through this stuff. I'm not alone. There's other people that have gone through this too. And then there's something in that story that I may have learned to be able to take in and embrace and say, this is something that I can use as a tool to better what I've been battling. So thank you so much, Ms. Mackey, just for sharing what you're going to be talking about in your chapter. Amazing. Look, can the book get dropped tomorrow? I'm just saying, can it be dropped tomorrow? Can I get it for a Christmas gift? Can I pre-order? Can I get it today? Because again, I'm always a supporter of people who have served in the military and people who have served the military, because again, we don't talk about what we've been through or what we've dealt with. So anytime that I see someone who is a veteran or somebody has a veteran-owned business, I know there was a lot of pain behind the purpose of them birthing that business or their ministry or whatever it is that they have going on. But not only that, I'm able to connect. You know what I mean? And when I know that I'm able to connect and understand, that builds a greater thing on a grander scale. So thank you so much, you ladies, for being a part of this Her War II anthology and just sharing what we have to look forward to in this book. So I'm going to go to another commercial break, and then I'm going to come circle back around to every one of you ladies, and I'm going to ask you a particular question, and I want you to be able to share your heart with everybody else that's watching. So we'll be right back. And tonight's show is also sponsored by Mimosa Fest. That festival is happening in May of 2022 in Texas. If you want to know more information, you can go to www.mimosa-fest.com. Again, www.mimosa-fest.com. All right, ladies. So I have a question that I want to ask. So actually, it's two questions, a two-part question. And I would like for each of you ladies to answer the question for me. And Vaughn, I'm going to circle back around to you on the back end. So Miss Big Man, you know, knowing that you're a part of this anthology, how has the experience been for you having to share your story and put it in words on paper into a book? And then also, what has this pushed you to do as far as encouraging others to share their story?
It's actually gave me that chance to actually look back and find the right words to share in regards to the experiences of myself in the military, because I am from a military family. My grandmother was in the military, World War II, and she was also a drill sergeant. So looking at that, trying to express, and then I've been often asked, I've been in a lot of projects at PBS, American Veteran. I'm also part of that, and then some other projects in regards to how I'm gonna share my story. And it's each time, even though I might have shared it various times, it's still hard at times, because there's parts of me that I tell people, I'm like, especially those of us that were in combat, not all of me came back. Some of me still back over there. So I'm still struggling with a lot of that. But for I've been asked, especially in the Native American community, what words do you have of some of the young women that want to join? And one thing I always encourage is never forget yourself, never forget who you are, never forget where you came from. And as Native Americans, we are descendants of warriors and chiefs and those that fought without any question. And be proud of who you are. And that's not just for Native Americans, that's just for all Americans. You know, don't forget who you are, where you came from, and that you can overcome anything regardless. It might take a little bit of work, but guess what? When you reach that mountain, you look back and look down and like, yep, I made it. And I'm proud. So successes comes in different facets, but that's one of the things that I try to encourage a lot of our youth. You know, don't let the rough stuff get to you. Just brush dust yourself off. It's going to be hard. Well, even with this organization, Native American Women Warriors, it was tough. I tell a lot of people there was a lot of sweat and tears in it, and there are times when I was ready just to give up. But when God gives you something and tells you to gives you a task, it's a learning tool. It's a knowledging. It teaches you so much, but at the same time, it just builds your character and builds you as a person.
Wow, thank you so much, Miss Big Man. I love that. Never forget who you are. So if you're watching and tuning in, she just told you, never forget who you are. Put that in the chat. Never forget who you are. So thank you so much, Miss Big Man. And how can the listeners and watchers and viewers connect with you if they wanted to connect with you?
I do have my Facebook page, Micheline Francis Big Man, but I also have the Native American Women Warriors Project. You can connect with me through that. And then I also have my email account, which is mitchelaine.m.naww@gmail.com. But no, like I say, a lot of people find me through Facebook, and I do have LinkedIn as well. That's where a lot of people link up with me in regards to and connect with me.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show and being here with your fellow co-authors.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Jerry.
All right, Miss Kathy Mackey. Same question for you, lady.
All right. Can you hear me? Hear me? Okay, awesome. So it was very challenging for me at first. I always knew that there was a book inside of me, but had not taken the time to really look into what to do it. So when Vaughn asked me, I was like, okay, the challenge was which story to tell. So the story that I told, I had not shared it with my children. I had not discussed it with my husband. And so we had to have some conversations in order for that to be in print. So the thing was, I had to really allow myself to come to grips that whatever your diagnosis, it is not a death sentence. Whatever if you're diagnosed with PTSD, if you're diagnosed with anxiety, it is not a death sentence. And as you said earlier, I really believe my challenge came because of the church and our own community. In our community, we don't talk about therapy, but I believe that prayer is a weapon, and you can still you can have both. You can have faith, and you can also have doubt. That does not define who you are. I believe that prayer is my weapon, but therapy is my strategy. And so I encourage other women to do what is necessary to keep yourself going so you can live fully alive. We have served 22 plus years or whatever amount of time you've done. That's not whatever we've gone through is not a death sentence. We just need the tools and the resources in order to regain our life so we can live fully alive again, because there's so much ahead of us. So I encourage the women to go to therapy. If you need therapy, take therapy. The diagnosis is not your death sentence.
Wow, powerful. Look, I had to write this down because you all need to know this, because I'm going to repeat exactly what she said so you can eat and digest these words. Miss Mackey said, whatever you are diagnosed with is not your death sentence. Please understand that just because you've been diagnosed diagnosed with something doesn't mean that you can't still go out and be great. You can't embrace your greatness. You can't share your story. You can't share your truth. So remember that it's not a death sentence. And the second takeaway that I got from Miss Mackey is prayer is your weapon, but therapy is the strategy. Somebody type that in the chat. Prayer is your weapon, but therapy is your strategy. There's nothing wrong with therapy. I'm going to say it all the time. I'm screaming from the rooftop. There's nothing wrong with therapy. Faith without action is dead. So you gotta have faith, but then you also gotta have some action behind it, and that's where the therapy part comes in. So thank you so much, Miss Mackey, for sharing it and dropping those encouraging words and those nuggets for everybody that are watching tonight. And thank you for being here with your fellow co-authors for her War II anthology. All right, Miss Angela Van, same question for you, Queen.
Okay. Yes. I thought I was good, talking about my military experience, and but I wasn't. And then once I started, talking about it and deciding what I'm going to write about, and it's just like all these other things started coming up, and that I thought like, okay, that I had dealt with it and I was okay with it. But I wasn't. And I was one of those, persons that thought that, hey, I don't need the therapy. Why do I have to talk to, somebody? I got it all together, but I didn't. And I'm still getting it together. And it's okay. I mean, because I'm still here and being productive. So it just brought a lot of more emotions, and I look back on it, and I put put a lot on hold, and just to be that person in the military, just to fulfill all those duties, and being in the position as being a warrant officer and a leader, and then I just threw myself on the back burner. Sometimes I threw my family on the back burner, so and a lot of that had to come out, and I had to talk to my daughter about a lot of things also, because she's in the military. Well, she just got out, but she is reserve and that seems to be a thing. A military family. My dad was in the military. I'm in the military. My daughter went to the military. So it was a lot, and it still is. It's still an ongoing, but it's worth it. Once you get on that journey, stay on that journey, stay on that track, because you're going to be okay. I agree with everybody. You're going to be okay. And not only that, you're going to help somebody, and you're going to help somebody else. And with us staying on track, it's going to help us too, as far as women veterans, especially through the Veterans Administration, system, as getting in that hospital and having those services for women veterans, because sometimes it's hard to find those services, actually services tailored for women veterans that we need. I'm glad we're all here telling our stories. And I even look forward for her War II, so I can share some more. So yeah. So I'm Angela Van, and I can be reached on all social media as Angela Van, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and also every Saturday morning at 9:00, I co-moderate with with Vaughn in her War II. We have a clubhouse room on there where we talk all things veterans, women veterans, and just all a plethora of things, and what's going on with us, and how we can help, and resources. And we're not there just talking, we're giving resources, and helping people, and making those connections, connecting people to where they need to, where they can get some help, or talk to someone. So join us on Saturday mornings at 9:00 on the clubhouse. So
good stuff, Miss Van. Thank you for sharing. And look, the takeaway that I got, and the message I got from you is, once you're on that journey, stay on that journey. You are going to be okay. That's such a true statement. You're going to always be on a journey. We might fall back a little bit, but it's still part of your journey. Just stay the course, and you will be okay. Trust me. If Miss Van says you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay, because she's right here and she's telling you that she's okay. So thank you so much. You all go and follow Miss Angela Van on Facebook and Instagram under Angela Van. Before I move over to Miss Felice, I want to circle back to Miss Mackey, because I forgot to get her to share her information on how people can connect with you.
You can connect with me on Facebook, Kathy Ann Mackey, my complete name, and you also can reach me on LinkedIn and Instagram, K-A Wood Mackey on Instagram.
Okay. And make sure you drop that information down in the chat when you get the opportunity, so that way people will have it. Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Gillum, same question for you, lady.
You're going to have to repeat that question for me, Dr. Jerry, because see, my short-term memory is not that long after everything I got going on this month.
The question was, how has this experience been for you, having to go through sharing your story for her War II, and then some words of encouragement that you would like to offer, or some words of wisdom to the people who are watching and tuning into the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show?
Awesome. So, talking about the USO and the services that we provide and the experiences that I've had is part of what I do every single day as executive director for USO Gulf Coast. So, putting together a compilation of stories was not something that was new to me. I think what was one of the most remarkable things about writing my chapter in the book was going back and reaching and finding those most special and impactful stories that I had experienced. The one in particular that I'm speaking of, I had not thought about in probably 2000, since 2007, 2008, when we were at the height of the war in Iraq. So one of those experiences of just being able to reach back to that time and how I felt in that time was probably one of the most remarkable parts of participating in this anthology. But one thing that I would like to tell the listeners is, like Vaughn said, the journey that we are on for a reason. Don't quit. No matter what it is that you are going through in life, you have to be prepared to stay the course. And that's one thing that I think that is the most remarkable part of being a member of the armed forces, is that they are taught that you start something, you finish something. And there's always something very strong to be said about that. It's what we try to teach our children to do. And it's also what we have to remind ourselves to do as well as adults. So again, I'm Felice Kelly Gillum, and you can reach me on all social media platforms under my name. I frequent Facebook and Instagram the most. And I also am in Clubhouse. And you can, again, find me on all social media platforms under my name, Felice Kelly Gillum. You can also email me at BeTheLight@FeliceKellyGillum.com.
Good stuff. Thank you, Miss Felice, for being here. And for those of you that are watching, I want you to type this in the chat. Don't quit and stay the course. That's what Miss Gillum said. Don't quit and stay the course. That's words of encouragement for me right now, too. So thank you so much for that. Because I'm telling you, I'm like, oh, I'm tired. Do I have to keep on going? But I must make sure that I stay the course. So I'm not going to quit. All right, Miss Bridget. So same question for you, lady.
Thank you. Okay, so my chapter that I have in the book is titled "My Life Was a War," because we're talking about her war too. And mine had to deal with, I heard Vaughn mention early, had to deal with women veteran health care. And in my particular chapter, mine dealt with military sexual assault. Well, it didn't just start there. I went back because as my life been a war, it happened many times through my upbringing. So that put me in a mindset of, thinking that I wasn't good enough, thinking that I needed to just be quiet. And what I learned from writing my chapter is don't keep quiet. Let it out. Let it out. There are so many, and I began to look at the many women and men, but particularly military women that are assaulted. Even now, it's so big, been in the news about the young lady in Texas, Fort Hood, that was actually murdered and, set on fire just to cover up the sexual assault. So it's so prevalent. It is so much of it going on. So with me doing that, just to let them know that don't keep quiet, let it out, and it's not your fault. That's what I had to learn, because going through all of this, I always felt like I did something to bring this on, but as it goes, you don't. There's nothing that we actually do. It's just something that happened. I allowed, when I went back and read my chapter, I was like, oh my God, it did kind of almost give me a setback, because I'm like, I put my whole life out there, and it was really, really, when you read it, you'll see that it kind of brought me to a place. But I learned at the same time that to talk about it, it empowered me. It empowered me to go on, don't stop, and don't play myself small. I pulled out a passage of a poem that I always liked to read, and I always knew that there was something in me. There's a book, there's some greatness. And in that particular little passage, I'll just read that it says, playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. So let yourself go. And that's what I've learned through this, through my chapter, through the writing. And I'm encouraged because I'm also writing another book, and it has to do with biblical Christian and how I overcame the things that I endured during my personal war times. And it was through Jesus Christ. So
Wow. Thank you for
that's what
sharing
I
that.
got from it. That's what it did for me. I'm so excited to really get it out there, even though I felt a little some kind of way about the vulnerability, but I let it out. I let it out. And that's what I encourage others to.
Wow. Well, thank you so much.
And I
Like,
thank you for having us on the show today.
I can definitely that knowing that, and you may not know that, so you're about to find out now. I'm excited about to reading your chapter because I am a survivor of sexual assault from being a teen, but I also was part of and still am a sexual assault victim advocate. I was part of when the program first was implemented in the Air Force way back in 2005 when it first got started. So trust me, I understand the struggle of being a victim of sexual assault and having to serve and just having to even be there for those women. Oh, I mean, my heart goes out to everyone who has been a victim and are now a survivor. That's a part of your journey. That's a part of your story. But I like what you said when you said, don't keep quiet, let it out. It's so much, it's so therapeutic when you start speaking about your experience. But not only that, you're empowering other people to speak about their experience and empowering them to grow and allowing them to heal as well, because there's a lot of people that suffer in silence. And we don't want people to be quiet. We want them to share their truth, share their story, because they could be helping somebody else who's dealing with that in that moment. So thank you so much. So Ms. Bridget, how can people connect with you?
I on my Facebook page, Denise Bridget, just my first name, last name. Also Twitter, I have Denise.Bridget. So all of my contacts is Denise Bridget, my first name, last name.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. If you get the opportunity, just go back and put that information.
And email the same, DeniseBridget@gmail.com. So that would be the way to contact me.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much. All right. So we are down. I think I got everybody. I got Kathy. I got Angela. I got Felice. I got Miss Big Man. I got Denise. All right. So we are down to the visionary herself before we close out the show. And so same question for you, Ms. Vaughn, but then also, I want you to just have your last words that you want to share with everybody here tonight before we conclude this evening.
I've gotten so caught up in what they're saying. What were the questions again? Because I'm over here just holding back the tears. I have had the privilege, and oh my goodness, each of them, as I'm watching them speak tonight, oh, Dr. Jerry, I'm seeing growth right here. I've been blessed to meet each and every one of them, to talk with them offline. There's not a woman on this phone that I'm looking at that I haven't had 2 and 3 hour conversations with, where we've left in tears, where we've prayed together, where we've texted for prayer. I'm going through this, I'm going through that. And so I'm holding back right now because I'm seeing a whole nother level of growth and involvement and evolving that's in a continuous phase. So shout out to you all for trusting me on this journey. God knows I didn't know what I was doing, but what I knew to do was to obey. But I couldn't be here by myself. I really couldn't. And for our listening audience, some of them have already said they want a series. They want volume 2, volume 3. Miss USO has talked me into having a TV show. Only God knows what that's going to look like. So, we're all in this stage of life where we're transitioning and we're transforming. I'm happy that we're willing to do it together. When I've talked to them, it's been so many similarities that we're fearful that we weren't in the same house growing up. I mean, Denise and I, when I talk about my toxic childhood, she said, oh my goodness, I didn't think anybody else partied like that as a child but us. No, we were the party house on the block. And it is being free to discuss those things. No condemnation and no judgment. And I want to say this. The work that we're wanting to do is not just talking about it, but being that resource. As Denise said, having that picture on the wall, help my sister up. We know how dark this world is right now. The military, I don't care which branch you choose. Now, I prefer the Air Force. Don't get me wrong. The Air Force is the premier branch. I prefer that. Choose one or the other. There's 5. You can go into the Space Force, come off the streets. That's what I want to tell our young women. That's what I want to say. Come off the streets. We see what's happening. We're not void of what's happening in our communities. There are options. I don't want this work to be, oh, this happened. PTSD, MST, anxiety, depression. Guess what? In corporate America, I suffered the same thing. I'm a 15-year business owner. I suffered the same things, but it was those tools and resources that got me here. That causes me to look back and say, girl, if you did that by the grace of God, what more is in you? And so when I think about mentoring our young women, how do they deal with that supervisor that is being antagonistic? Well, I'm going to tell you what the regulation says, but then I'm going to tell you what the word of God says. And I'm going to say, sit back and see what growth you need. What's happening with you? Because God has to bring circumstances and environments to develop us. So it's not always pointing the finger, they're doing this and that, but he's trying to shape something out of you, bring something out of you. Those are the things that I'm so honored for, because had I not gone in the military, I would not have known that other families lived so different, other cultures, other experiences. The world was waiting on me, oh my goodness. And I'm going to be stuck here in St. Louis living like this. Oh no. And once I got a taste of that, I haven't stopped. I'm traveling right now. I'm in a hotel room right now. I haven't stopped. So get acclimated to the differences, to the opportunities. The opportunities are broad. In any branch, again, I say the Air Force is the premier branch. There are jobs that you can have that you would not even maybe aspire to have, except you're introduced to that. And this is what I know about each of these co-authors, including Felice, that we are a conduit or resource. You can reach out to any of us. And if we don't have the answers, we're not going to leave you and say, oh, well, I'm sorry that you're facing that. No, because you've let me know that you're facing, I'm going to reach out. We're going to be there. We're going to pray you through. We'll say, hey, give me a call. I know Kathy and I talked 2 years ago, and I didn't know who she was. It was an interview over the phone with a military organization that she still, and when I talking and I said, I think you interviewed me 2 years ago for my business. And indeed, she was. And so we're connected to help those that are currently serving. You have a desire to serve. You may be post-service. What I want you to know is that you're not alone. My greatest desire for this project is that I am personally putting 2 volumes in every VA medical center for any of our inpatient women to go to that library, because our VAs have libraries, go to that library and gain encouragement, because I don't think there's one topic of life that we have not addressed. And so I'm excited. I'm honored. I'm really, really blown away. I'm still in awe of what God is allowing me to experience on this project. And so thank you, Dr. Jerry. Would love to have you in the 2nd volume. You can reach me on all, let me be cautious how I say that, because I don't monitor my social media. So the best way, even though I'm out there, Twitter, Instagram, you can find me. The best way to reach me is through the website, joyrestoredoutreach.org. Dr. Jerry, I want to come back to this, because you said there's 2 things that we gave our life to do. And then, you said there are only 2 people that are going to die for you, Jesus and those of us that serve. The total military population is only 20%. That's men and female. We're even a lesser percent than that. And my greatest concern right now are the unhoused female veterans with children, and that our suicide rates are increasing amongst females. That should be not on our watch. We cannot forget what we endured because it was for a purpose. And I think many of us have come out of I'm going to say, I know it. I don't think it, because I'm talking to you. You've come out, you've hung up that uniform, and you put that behind you without allowing it to be a conduit to help those women that are struggling right now. There should not be another Vanessa Gilliam, that she can't reach out to another veteran and say, hey, I'm talking to my command and they're not responding. I'm afraid to go to work, that we can provide shelter to them, that they don't have to stay in that environment. That's my heart's desire, is that we are the answer based on these experiences, because we've come through. Now let's reach back and bring someone else through. Thank you.
Amen. Go and drop the mic right there. We should be advocates. All of us that have served or have been in contact with service members, females, we should be advocates for other veterans, especially the ones that are homeless. You know, it's so many people don't realize there's so many homeless veterans out on the street. It's ridiculous, you know, and it shouldn't be. So we need to make sure that we're advocating for them as well. So thank you so much, Ms. Von Griggs, for your vision. The vision, you walking it out, you know, that the vision that God has given you to be able to pull these phenomenal women together to share their story, share their truth, in hopes to be able to help other people be empowered to share their story, heal even in the midst of reading your stories, and then be a voice for many other people. And again, hopefully advocate for other people as well. So thank you so much. I have truly enjoyed my time with each and every one of you. If any of you want to come on to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show in the future, you can go to my website, www.IamYolandaJerry.com, where you can go more in depth about your own truth and the trauma that you have endured and how you have used that trauma and that pain, and it has pushed you into your purpose today. So thank you so much again for tuning in. If you are just tuning in to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show, you have missed a treat tonight. Make sure you go back and watch the replay, share with many other people that you are connected to, because these women have powerful stories that's getting ready to be birthed in January of 2022. So congratulations, ladies. Ms. Griggs, I look forward to your next set of women that's a part of this book project that's going to be coming onto the show as well in a few weeks from now. So again, you ladies stay behind. We're getting ready to conclude the show. I like to chat with you behind after the show is over. So stay right here. Everybody else, if nobody has told you that they love you, I want you to know that I love you, but most of all, God loves you. So take care, be blessed, and talk to you all again soon. And happy holidays.